Hello, everybody. It's me, Ross, and welcome to another edition of the League One Lowdown, where I speak to fans, podcasters, and journalists from each League One club to get their thoughts for the coming season. Today, I'm joined by Liam Hoden, the editor of the Donny Free Press. Liam, thank you very much for joining me. Doncaster. It's been many ups and downs. How has it been covering them all those years?
Well, it's been eventful. It's been fun. I started full-time covering Rovers 10 years ago, and that season was the experiment season when they had a close relationship with the agent Willie Mackay, and they were bringing all manner of players in and to put them in the shop window, the likes of El Hadj Diouf, Pascal Chimbonda, Habib Bey, and a whole cast of characters. It didn't end well. It ended in relegation to League One. And yeah, that were a great way to kick off. Always things going on that season, and then they bounced straight back the season after when the famous finish to the game at Brentford, when one team would end up getting promoted, the other would end up in the playoffs, and Brentford missed an injury time penalty, and Rovers went up the pitch and scored to win the League One title. And then they were relegated in injury time the following season. So it's a very eventful club to follow. It's been a little bit more stable in recent years, although we've been to a playoff semi-final. But there's always plenty going on at Doncaster.
Yeah. And of course, last season, change of managers. Of course, Darren Moore went to Sheffield Wednesday, and of course, he's going to be returning to Doncaster this season. Unfortunately, Sheffield Wednesday got relegated. Richie Wellens, of course, a former player of Doncaster, he's now in charge. Let's talk about the transfer business. Like many clubs, we've still got a month left to go of the window, so I'm sure there's going to be many ins and outs still going to be happening. Let's talk about the ins and also the outs. I think the key departure is probably Reece James, and then the transfer ins. I'll let you take the floor to talk about the outs and the ins.
Well, in Reece James, it were always a big one. They were always likely to leave. He was offered a new contract, and he did say if he didn't find a club in the Championship, he would have stayed at Doncaster because he really liked it here. I think he'd moved over last year as well to live over here. But he got an offer from Blackpool, and that's where he's gone. He was unbelievably versatile last season. He came to the club as a left back, but he was playing in midfield, whether it was a sitting midfielder, out on the left wing, a bit for in the middle as well. So it was always likely that he'd move on, but still a fairly big blow. What they have managed to do is bring back Tommy Rowe, who left as a midfielder but played for Bristol City for 2 years as a left back or a wing back. So he's kind of about as good a replacement as you could get for Reece James, and he's been sensational in pre-season. He, despite the fact he's a couple of years older and he's now into his 30s, he looks even better than he did before he left. I think that 2 years in the Championship has done him the world of good, and he's going to be a massive player. Overall, the transfer business that Richie Wellens has done, it were never going to have a massive amount of money to spend, although it was quite a significant improvement on last year's budget due to the sort of COVID's impact last season. The club's kind of forecasted a little bit more optimistically financially. What he's prioritised is putting together a team, a strong 11, really, and sees that building the squad will be more of a long-term thing. So the signings that he's made have been quite impressive. Ben Close coming in from Portsmouth, Jordi Hewula, who was at Coventry, latterly at Portsmouth as well, and Matt Smith on loan from Arsenal, who looks like he's going to be a decent player, a very good player. In fact, they've got a really good midfield that they're putting together, and we're starting to see relationships develop as well. There's a lot of short, sharp interplay between players, and those relationships are really important. So all in all, the transfer business has been really good. There's a little bit of work to do, but there's actually no funds available at the moment until players are moved on. But this is what Wellens has prioritised: getting a strong 11 together, and building his brand of football, certainly in possession. And he says there might be a few issues in defence, not with the actual players in defence, but in the manner the whole team defends, because he's probably not got those sort of players in that he'd like to. But and probably with a big if there's going to be an issue this season, it's probably going to be depth. If Rovers lose some of these key players, these players that have come in for this 11, then that's where they might struggle a little bit, because there's not really a tremendous amount of backup for those players. So all in all, pretty good if you're on board with Richie Wellens' plan. Then that's the way to do it. It could have gone a different way and just made sure they had enough numbers, but he probably wouldn't have had the quality that he's managed to bring in.
And then talk about, last season finishing 14th. I'm sure Richie Wellens is going to come in and have ambitions to get his side into the playoffs. And I've said on previous episodes, I said off air with you, League One is going to be so competitive. It normally is, but it's going to be wide open. So many teams are spending money, being ambitious. There's going to be so many teams going to be fighting for the top six. There'll be some teams trying to, of course, survive as well. The newly promoted side like Morecambe, their first ever season in League One. What are you expecting from Doncaster this year? And I'm sure they want to have an improvement on 14th, and Rich Wellens is going to be probably ambitious. So what's your thoughts?
Well, I was asked earlier in the week, and I predicted 6th. That probably being a bit optimistic, but that's if things go their way, I think they're more than capable of doing it. And as I said earlier, in terms of injuries, suspensions, they're going to really hurt them this season. There's still obviously a bit of time, and hopefully they can bring a couple more in. But I do think that 1 or 2 key players going out injured could really derail the season. Last season were really interesting. It were really disappointing in the end, because there's no way that they should have finished outside the top 6, and they finished all the way down in 14th. They were on a decline just before Darren Moore left, and it unfortunately continued for the last 3 months of the season as well. So, but at Christmas, just before Christmas, they played a game, and if they'd have won that, they'd have been top of the league for Christmas. But the decline were really, really disappointing in the end. I think they will be better than last season, but again, as you mentioned, the competitiveness of the division this season. Asked again earlier in the week to pick 3 up and 4 down, and at both ends it were very, very difficult. It's quite easy to just say that the ones that come up will struggle, probably other than Bolton. And in the end, I did say the other 3 teams to go down. But then picking another one, thinking back to last season and who was strong, who you might think might be down, it's very, very difficult to see. I found it difficult anyway to see which teams will drop. And then again, at the top of the table, there's so much strength. It's going to be incredibly competitive this season.
And before we move on to talking about Ipswich Town as an outsider's point of view, the transfer business, we've got no ownership. Paul Kirk's first full season in charge, 10 in the door, many more to come, it seems. Richard Wellens, I'm sure you've been able to see the preseason games. What sort of football is he playing? I'm sure he's still trying to sort different things out and tactics and stuff, but what can we expect when Town face Doncaster, and what sort of football is he playing?
It's very, very intense. It's possession based. It's attacking based. They won't hang about passing the ball across the back or across midfield. It'll be getting the ball forward. In possession, really, not going long, but playing some nice intricate stuff. And yeah, that's going to be it, attacking. And I imagine that there will be games where it might become a bit of a ding-dong battle in terms of attempting to outscore the opposition. And I think they'll concede a few goals this season. I think that is probably going to be where they're a little bit short defensively, but it will be really good to watch. And as a player, he was a fantastic technical footballer, and that's exactly what he wants from his team. He said straight away when he arrived, the footballers I want to sign are intelligent footballers, and I think so far so good on that.
Okay. Well, before we move on to talking about when Town faced Doncaster, unfortunately, Doncaster fans got to travel to Portland Road on a Tuesday night. One of those things. But let's talk about Town's transfer business. As I said, new owners, been very ambitious. Some actually happy days finally at Portland Road, hopefully. Off the pitch so far, on the pitch, we'll have to wait and see. But what's your thoughts as an outsider? I'm sure you've covered many Town Doncaster games before, and I'm sure you've seen what's been going on at Town. And of course, a lot of us never thought we'll be playing League One football, and Doncaster, unfortunately, have been, a bit of a yo-yo club. But what's your thoughts on Town's business so far?
It's been tremendous, really, for the level. They've obviously, in terms of wages, spent a decent amount of money, but I think they've done it quite wisely as well. We've seen teams that have found themselves with a big pot of cash, and they're throwing it at players that probably should be playing in the Championship, but maybe not the right characters. I think what Ipswich have done is bring in players that are very, very good at the level, and certainly have got potential to do well at the level above. But Joe Pigott does stand out. Has been it's been amazing that he's been at Wimbledon for so long, with the impact that he's made, and he'll be a tremendous asset. He's a very, very good League One striker. Connor Chaplin from Barnsley as well. The business has been really, really good, and it's quite intimidating for everybody else, I think, as well. It does feel to me there was a season not too long ago when Blackburn and Wigan were both down, had got relegated from the Championship. They spent a decent amount of money. Their budgets way outweighed everybody else's, and they were just so strong that it were basically you were picking which teams were going to finish in the playoffs, because those two were going to get top two, and they were strong from the start. I imagine Ipswich under a very, very good manager, certainly at this level, very good manager anyway, but I think they'll be a strong force this season, and I'd back them for the title, really.
Okay, then. Well, put your money where your mouth is, and we'll wait and see on that. What can we expect then? We play Doncaster on a Tuesday night at Portman Road in September, so we'll somewhat know how both sides will be playing in terms of the tactics. And this is Paul Cook's first full season charge. He's now got his players that he wants in. So what do you reckon we can expect from that? And of course, I think we play Doncaster. We travel to Keepmoat in February, so we'll pretty much know what is going on with both clubs. But as you said, do you think there'll be loads of goals in this one?
I think there could very well be. Could very well be. Richard Wellens is very detailed in how he prepares for the opposition. He goes into it's not just a case of it's about what we do. It is very, very detailed. The players will know all about Ipswich by the time they meet. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes about things against one of the top teams in the division. So far, it's been difficult to gauge, obviously, so far in pre-season, because it is just about fitness. It is just about putting various things together. But it will be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he tackles a very, very strong opposition. But I do think it could be a game where there will be plenty of goals.
What's who would you say the standout player that we should watch out for? I know they've got a big striker up top. I won't try to pronounce his name because I'm terrible at pronouncing. Is Okumbire? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. He's unfortunately going to miss the start of the season, but it'd be interesting. He got shifted around quite a bit last season. He was playing out wide. I think he'll certainly play through the middle this season, so it'll be interesting to see with him. I think so far the big standout's been Tommy Rowe. He's playing left back, but more often than not, he'll be the furthest player up the pitch. The movement is fantastic, and I think that Tommy will comfortably get double figures goals this season because of where he pops up and things like that. And he's so fit and athletic; he just gets around the pitch so well. I think that he's going to be the star man for Doncaster this season at both ends of the pitch.
Okay. And I meant to say this earlier in the video about, of course, fans will be back in the stadium, and I'm sure the Keepmoat will be full as well. I'm sure, I know Donny fans are very passionate about their club. Do you think that will help as well for this season with Rich Wellens, his first season in charge? I'm sure the fans will be very positive at the beginning. Of course, fans can easily turn, but do you think it just adds extra to games? Because I'm sure, as a reporter covering, it has been soulless in the grounds, and it feel like it's just been training games, but now it's going to be away ends, hopefully going to be full. A lot of stadiums will be full. So do you think that will just add extra spice to different games?
It certainly will do. Certainly. What the best sort of match days at the Keepmoat are when they play a big opposition, a well-supported opposition, and I'm sure Ipswich will definitely travel in numbers and take a significant chunk of that away end. And they're always great days. It's funny because it'd been obviously so long before there were any fans there, and there were a charity game a couple of months ago with supporters in, and even that it felt special. It felt, and then last weekend they played Newcastle, who brought more than 4,000, and that really felt like football were back, because it has been soulless. You come to a bigger ground like Portman Road, and it's so echoey. It just feels like not even a reserve game. So it is great to see supporters back, and I do think it'll make a difference to a fair few teams.
Definitely. Well, Liam, it's been a pleasure speaking all things Doncaster. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, just looking forward to the season. Looking forward to seeing how Ipswich fare. Obviously, all eyes I think will be on Ipswich this season. So we'll see how they do.
Oh, brilliant. It's been a pleasure having you on. And Doncaster fans, town fans watching, let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on the season ahead. And I'll be back for another edition of the League One Lowdown very soon. So stay tuned. Bye for now.